Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and welcome to our end of the year celebration videos. This is going to be the top 10
Is that how you
worst.
celebrate? Just a little.
I'm so sorry, Tim, that I am emotive with my hands when I talk.
It just looked like such like a lame dance. Just imagine you at a party trying to dance like that.
This is going to be the top 10 worst horror movies of 2016, which me and Tim here have sat down and decided on. All 10 of these are movies that we covered over the year on the show. There will be links in the corner. Not all 10, because there's a limit of 5 that I can put. But if you go to the main page of the channel, find the playlist, you'll find them all in there quite easily. We sat and we debated and we said, okay, what is the Screams After Midnight official top 10 worst movies of the year? We mostly agreed. There was some debates. There's maybe one or two that it was more one of us up than the other fighting for.
Mhm.
This is a Tim pick or this is a Peter pick. But
Yeah.
we sat and we debated to give you a worst 10 movies, worst 10 horror
Mhm.
movies specifically of the year. So let's get into it. Number 10 is The Boy.
Do you do you go first or you go first because you are the one that don't like doesn't like it.
Yeah, I'm the one who. This is number 10. I would have this higher. If
Mhm.
this was just up to me, this would be probably in the middle of this list. But Tim actually likes this movie for whatever reason. But I fought tooth and nail
Mhm.
because this deserved to be on the 10 worst horror movies of the year. It's generic, it's horribly filmed, it's like everything about it's just, it came out in January or February, but it feels like a January, February horror movie where they generally suck. Just derivative of other movies, the cinematography is boring and bland, characters don't work, the premise is silly, the twist, which we won't spoil, no spoilers in this, it's kind of obvious by the time you get there. But generally speaking, it does not feel like that exciting a movie. It feels like one of those drudge movies that you get at the start of the year.
You finished?
Counterpoint, yeah, counterpoint, Tim.
I actually had this on my top 10 best list. I absolutely love this movie. I disagree with all of your points, but in a relationship, it's all about compromise. So, you got to let your partner feel like they win one every now and again. Um, but I would definitely argue with this. I'm not saying it was my number one favorite movie of the year, and a little bit of it is joking when I kind of try on defend this to the death and stuff. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made, but I do think it is a solid, fun movie, and definitely doesn't deserve a lot of the hate that it gets. I think all of the acting was great. I like the characters, and I like the ending. But watch it for yourself and decide.
Don't, really don't. Just don't. Number 9 is Shelly, which is a mostly foreign film. It's kind of a take on Rosemary's Baby. It's this young woman who agrees to be a surrogate for this couple out in the middle of nowhere where they don't have internet. I don't even, do they have electricity? I don't think they do.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing. And the funny thing is this movie actually starts off really promising. It starts off with this really beautiful cinematography of the wildlife and the surrounding area around the house. And I was actually, when I first watched this, I was like, oh man, this feels like it's going to be good. It feels like the filmmaking behind this knows what it's doing. The director's got a vision. But unfortunately for me, once I actually get into the plot of the cursed baby, it just kind of fell apart and I wasn't that interested anymore. And that's unfortunately the rest of the movie.
Yeah, this one's kind of funny because I feel like most of the movies we're going to talk about on this list, a lot of it is like combination of bad storytelling and bad filmmaking. But this one, it's actually the filmmaking is pretty good. It's
Yeah.
clearly all on the story. It's dull. I was bored with it. I didn't. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because again, like you said, it looks really good. There's like a definite you know style to it that is pleasing to the eye, but yeah, there's not much else there.
Number 8 is Viral, which is a direct-to-VOD movie that came out this year. It is essentially a zombie outbreak film, but told more in the style of a straight virus movie, because It reminded me a lot of Fear the Walking Dead season 1, where the characters are all told to stay in their houses. There's a quarantine in the town, and it's about these two sisters who are on their own because their dad's away in business when this all happens, so he's not allowed to get back in, and they have to deal with each other. And one of them is potentially, infected, and that's kind of the plot of the movie. And it's them dealing with everything around them, the other people around them, making sure they've got food and things like that. It's not the worst thing ever made, but it sure is mediocre. It's sure right in that bland, middle territory where it doesn't do anything new or interesting or say anything about the genre that's not been said already. The characters are kind of fine. I'd probably argue the best part of the movie is the chemistry between the sisters, but unfortunately it's not enough to elevate it beyond what it is. And the ending doesn't really amount to much. There's no great big, like, it's almost like they have a budget, and instead of like using it wisely so they can have like some really tense sequences later on with like the zombies, if you want to call them that, instead it just kind of avoids doing anything exciting.
Yeah, this is the definition of forgettable. After we watched it, I never gave this movie another thought. I forgot that we did it until I was going back and looking at the list. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this movie. It's just like, if you watch it, you're probably not going to have a horrible time, but
I think the phrase I would use, it's not offensively bad by any means. Like, that's why it's at number 7 or number 8, sorry, and it's not higher than this, because the movies that are above this are like, oh no, I actually hate you for making me sit through this. I don't feel that way about Viral. It's just, it is eternally bland and forgettable. It's that. It was really hard to talk about that movie actually, because it's right in that middle section where you don't really like anything about it, you don't really dislike anything about it overly. It's just what it is.
And I think sometimes, I'd rather like have something be horrible. Like, at least like that's kind of like the worst thing you can do is just be like really bland and in that middle spot. Like, at least be so bad that it's entertaining. You want to watch it with friends. You want to laugh at it.
Or even if it's not so bad, it's entertaining, because that's it's an art form all of itself. Yeah. Even if it's just so bad in a bad way, but you're passionate about your hate, so you can rage about it. You can get angry. You can talk about it. You can. But this was just, it's middle of the road, forgettable. I could barely remember what happened, other than there was the two sisters in the house and there was a virus. That's kind of it. Number 7 is Rob Zombie's 31.
Ooh, now we're getting into the offensively bad.
I don't think obviously I don't think it's as offensively bad as the 6 movies that have placed higher on this list.
Yeah.
Mainly because why is it not higher? It's not higher because at least there's the one positive thing I'll say about Rob Zombie's movies is that they don't feel generic. They feel like they have a style. It's a style I don't like, but it is a style. Like, it's a Rob Zombie. You watch this and you go, this is his signature tone, his style, his feeling, his characters. It's like when you watch a Tarantino movie, you recognise Tarantino characters and setups, and like, is there two characters who have secrets that are across a table talking to each other and hiding their secrets? That's Tarantino, and you recognise that. It's like that with Rob Zombie. You recognise his style of characters and the type of plot that he would have.
And if you like Rob Zombie, you're probably gonna like this movie. It's
very
in line with his other stuff. It's just not for either one of us.
No, I didn't. I mean, why is it here at all? It's here because I hate every single character. It's here because the filmmaking and editing are so erratic that there was scenes where anything fast happened, I couldn't really tell what was going on.
It makes you feel like dirty, not in like a
not in a good way.
In the way that like horror movies usually should.
You want to shower because these characters are so disgusting. You just don't want anything to do with it. But the first complaint I had is kind of the main one, is that I hate the characters. I hate them all and want them to go away. There was one vaguely interesting villain from the start of the movie, mainly because he has a scene at the start of the movie where the camera just stays still and lets him act for like 5 minutes, and that's actually the best scene in the whole film. Number 6 is Cabin Fever. The remake of Cabin Fever, might I add.
Why? I still...
There it is. We could actually just cut to number 5 already. Yeah. All you had to say was, why? Cut. It is a carbon copy of the original movie. There's entire stretches of dialogue, which admittedly I've not seen the original in like a good decade. which is, by the way, is how long, more or less, it's been since the original came out. It came out in 2005. It's been 11 years. We have a remake where there's scenes where the dialogue seems identical from what I can remember. We have scenes that are supposed to be serious, but instead are funny
Yeah.
because they're ridiculous.
It's like ordering a salad at McDonald's. It's
Yeah.
pointless. Like, what are you, like, why are you doing this?
You know, I don't hate the characters as much as I did in 31, but they're just really annoying. And it just plays out beat for beat as the original. The entire time you're sitting there, if you've seen the original,
Yeah.
the entire time you're just sitting thinking, why? Even if you haven't seen the original, I think you can kind of tell there's not even, there's no passion in it. There's just someone
No.
going through the motions of retelling these scenes. So there's no energy, there's no feeling of, oh, this needs to exist. They wanted to tell this story.
Yeah, I feel like it was almost like a weird bet or experiment or something. I don't know, but one of the worst parts about it is that it does make you, or at least it made me, kind of appreciate the original more. Which is like, I don't want to like the original,
Yeah.
but now it's like if I watch it ever, I'm like, well, at least it's not the remake.
I think what sticks out to me is that this really shouldn't have been a remake. Like, if you wanted to do a cheap direct-to-video Cabin Fever, just call it Cabin Fever 3, because there was this, I think there was a second one, if I remember right. So call it...
There was a second that actually I think there was a second one. I think there may have even been a third one.
Alright, we'll call it Cabin Fever 4, whatever number we're at. Like,
Yeah.
just call it that, because essentially that's what they kind of want it to be. It's one of those horror sequels where it's the exact same premise with a new group of characters. Just do that and call it the fourth one. But for some reason, there's this weird fetish in Hollywood right now when you instead of doing that, oh no, we'll just call it the first one again. But this is so much of like a carbon copy that it's like it feels extra pointless. Number 5 is The Forest. We're back to the January-February release window of horror movies. Which, don't get me wrong, isn't always bad, because It Follows did come out February last year, so there is sometimes...
As did The Witch this year.
Oh, so it did, yeah. So there are, of course, gems that come out at that time period, but typically speaking, the movies that come out there, especially horror movies, are the forgotten variety, or they should be forgotten. You'll want to forget them after you've seen them, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Forest is a movie starring Natalie Dormer, and she's a American woman who goes to Japan to find her sister because she's told that her sister, her twin sister, committed suicide in the famous forest in Japan at the bottom of Mount Fuji, where that's famous. It's notorious for people committing suicide there. There's ghost elements, you know, and she hears voices when she goes there, and it's her staying in the woods, and creepy stuff happens, and we get some weird flashbacks and other stuff, and she meets another character that she may or may not trust, and unfortunately, I think while there's a good premise in here somewhere, you know, setting a movie around this forest actually sounds like a kind of good idea.
Oh, definitely.
It does nothing to actually lead us to care about this character or care about her search for her sister.
Yeah.
And then the horror elements are just cheap jump scares that don't really add up to anything. And the ending twist you can see coming a mile away.
Yeah, the twist sucked. The characters and stories were not interesting. There's like a weird, not like racist element, but it's just like a weird like, you know,
the American,
like
the white American woman's the normal one, and all these crazy Japanese people have all these weird customs. You know, it has that kind of viewpoint, and it's kind of, it's uncomfortable to a degree. Like, you kind of feel like you're treating this with, you know, a really old sensibility that doesn't quite work anymore.
Yeah, again, overall, like, it's just not like super like interesting to watch. Like,
it's boring. It's the worst possible offense for any movie, really, but a horror movie as well. It's boring. Number 4 is Friend Request, which is a movie about a girl who is super popular. In fact, one of my complaints was that she was too perfect. Like, she has the most perfect life ever. She's friends with everyone on Facebook, and this weird, creepy girl tries to friend her. She accepts out of kindness, but then she starts like constantly sending her messages and harassing her and like acting like they're the best friends in the world. The girl commits suicide, and then it's about her ghost in the internet, you know, like terrorizing her, and it's one of these crappy ghost hunts down her and her friends over the course of the movie, blah 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 blah. typical thing. This is exactly what people were worried about when Unfriended came out last year. People thought that's what that was going to be, and I actually ended up really liking Unfriended. We put that in our top 10 of 2015. We were impressed with Unfriended.
Surprising.
A couple of minor complaints, about the ending, but otherwise, solidly written little movie. This, on the other hand, is exactly what everyone didn't want, and it's the exact, it's completely, again, really generic, really hunting down these characters that we don't care about, a ghost, supernatural force that has no rules, and because it has no rules, there's no weight to anything. Things can just happen for no reason, so there's no, the characters make it out of this. Well, no, because there's no rules. The thing will just chase them wherever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the characters are generic archetypes, but they're super annoying. Like this in particular was one where I was like, I hate this character. I hate this character. The storyline is stupid. The forcing of technology into the horror movies, I feel like is never really done that well. There's been a few movies that have used it pretty good, but this is one of the poor examples.
It does a lot of these really cliche things where you see them look at computer code at one point because they're trying to figure out if there's something in the coding, and it comes up looking like an alien language, and it's like, this is stupid. And
it's like, of course, one of their friends is like a hacker.
Yeah,
who
of
can
course.
Easily, that group of friends everyone has. One's like a football star, the other's a hacker, then the other is like a drunk party.
Because they all hang out together always. That's what always happens in real life. Yeah. Again, it just feels really fake because this girl is presented to be the most perfect girl who never does anything. And that's the other thing is at the start of the movie, one of the running themes of the movie is that you see her friend count, and it's in the thousands. And it comes up on the screen, and as more stuff happens in the movie, our friend list count goes down, and it's as if we're meant to care that she's losing friends on Facebook. That's meant to upset us. We're meant to have this driving force for this character.
And it's also very frustrating because of these. No one understands when no one takes the time to sit down and actually listen at what the girl is saying, because part of it is that stuff keeps popping up on her wall and social media stuff.
The ghost is posting stuff on her account.
And everyone's like, oh, take it down, you're horrible, you suck, and the police are coming after her being why are you doing this? But never at one point does she ever bother to go, hey, look, it's not me, here's my computer, look, it's doing it, it's help. There's never simple,
because she can't even delete the account. She tries to delete the account and it doesn't work, and it's like, just watch me try this, and no one ever listens to her, and it's really frustrating. It's a lot of dumb characters being dumb about everything. It's characters blaming her for things that she can't possibly to be blamed for. And by the way, before we move on to the next thing, my favourite stupid character plot hole of the year might be the fact that, so they go to this girl's Facebook page and look at her. She does a lot of art, and it's witchcrafty looking stuff, right? About 10 times in the movie, we see someone go to her page and scroll down the same 4 or 5 images, and we see them over and over again. 2/3 into the movie, a character decides to, you know what, I'm going to scroll further. I'm going to keep scrolling. And they find more stuff that helps them figure things out. And it's like, you didn't think to scroll down further earlier on in the movie, you stupid assholes. Number 3 is Satanic. Now, as stupid as the characters might have been in the last entry, this has a group of characters who make so many decisions that no human being would ever make, that it almost turns into an absurd, weird comedy of actually trying to understand who these people are and what they're doing. So we have 2 couples travelling together. They're meant to be going to spring break, but they're stopping off in, is it Los Angeles?
I think they were going to a Coachella, I think, a big music concert.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where they're going eventually, but they stop off in Los Angeles, because one of the couples is into the occult and stuff, and they want to go to this haunted place where this girl committed suicide, and
which, again, talk about weird friendships. You have one couple that literally wants to go to witch covens,
and the other couple, the prom king and queen, basically.
Yeah,
it's a really weird friendship. And the prom king guy, he doesn't want to be there. He hates everything. He doesn't want to be in. He likes 2.5 Men, but other than that, he hates everything else. And they end up obviously getting wrapped up in all this stuff, and they end up saving this girl from an occult because, again, they follow people at night in the van, which no normal people would ever decide to do. They then decide to take in this runaway girl back to the hotel room, which no one would ever decide to do, especially since she seems deranged and was willingly part of this occult ritual crap. And from there, things just spiral out of control. The actual horror element doesn't really start until the last 20 minutes of the movie. There's an insane twist that you can see coming, is stupid, feels forced, and makes no sense given the context of everything else in the movie. The whole thing feels kind of pointless. The ending feels like just such a damp squib where you didn't really build to this, you just kind of forced everything in the last 20 minutes. Most of the film is them making really stupid decisions around the city of Los Angeles and trying to like deal with it, and it just, oh my god, the characters in this are so inane. But it has the same thing. You have a supernatural force which has no rules and just does things, so nothing has any weight or follow through. There's no. It's just
it's nonsensical, and I think one of the most annoying parts about it too is like I think almost, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think almost all of the kills were like off screen.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, at the very least, like, once we start getting into like the weird monster stuff, can we at least maybe see some gore or something? Like, it'd be understandable if one, character is killed off screen, but it's like all the deaths.
Number 2 is The Other Side of the Door. It's a movie about a young boy dying, and the mother, who's told from, they're living in a foreign country. I think they're in India, or I may be misremembering the country. This was the start of the year.
I think India, yeah.
Yeah, it was back in February, so I can't remember exactly. But this was another thing like The Forest, where it felt really insensitive, and it was very much, the white American family are the normal ones, and look at all these weird mystical beliefs and traditions that the foreigners have, the crazy foreigners. She's told by this foreign woman, you can go to this temple and you can speak to your son again from the other side of the door. But whatever you do, you mustn't open the door. And what does the crazy cow do? She opens the door. So we get this really just bad movie again. And notice how a lot of these bad movies are just a ghost hunting down the characters one by one and tormenting them. It's the exact same thing, plays out by the numbers. Really mundane. I didn't even want to see this from the trailer. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be in that sense. It was mostly Sarah Wayne Callis from The Walking Dead and Prison Break, just kind of being upset and not believing that her son is evil, or the ghost of her son is evil. And then by the end of the movie, when everything starts really going down, you just, by that point, you're just so out of it. You don't care. Characters are annoying, make decisions that don't make any sense. Notice how we're saying a lot of the same things for a lot of these movies. They all make the exact same goddamn mistakes. So these just generic Hollywood churn out a horror movie for a quick profit. And here we are.
And again, with some of the other ones too, like, there is like a small like bare bones premise in here that I like the kind of the idea that there's like, this doorway between the living and the dead, and like, you could talk to someone on the other side, but like, you can't open it up. Like, that is pretty interesting, but just everything is handled poorly in here. The characters are god awful. That horror movie trope, like you mentioned, like, why tell this person about this thing that they're gonna mess up?
She's going to do it. Partly because it's the premise of the movie, it has to happen. But you just like, why do you tell her this? It's going to, and it ends up resulting in so many people dying, and like her life gets ruined because of it. Like, this was just a poor decision. Again, dumb characters making really dumb choices that no one would. Now, I don't necessarily blame the mother for making the mistake, even though she's told not to. Okay, I'll accept that she's distraught. She's lost her son. She's depressed. She's can't handle it. Fine. But the decision of the woman who tells her about this door, like, no. Yeah. People, it's horrible, but people lose their kids sometimes, and they have to, get over it. They have to get past it eventually. They'll always live with them, but there's a grieving process. Let them go through it. But no. You go to this temple, talk through the door. It's basically the plot of Pet Sematary, goddammit, but with more ghostly
actually, I was
things
thinking,
going on.
Yeah, kind of similar. But and the thing too, though, is it's not like they're trying to be helpful, but it's not helpful because it's like the best thing for someone to do, to get over something is to like get over it. Like if you're trying to help someone, you want to be like, what are other ways I can have them remember this person that's no longer there? And I'm not just talking about like, losing someone, a breakup or something. Like you wouldn't be like, hey, you should listen to like old voicemails from your girlfriend or something. Like you wouldn't say stuff like that. You'd be like, get over it. Yeah, just do something to put your mind off it, not like keep shoving it in the person's face.
Number one is The Darkness,
Hmm.
which stars Kevin Bacon, and it's a movie about how one of his kids like interrupts like a stone ritual place when they're out on vacation with another couple who we never see again, by the way. And they come home, and this ghostly presence, because of what the son's done, has entered the home and starts terrorizing the family. The kid starts
Hmm.
acting out, and weird stuff starts going on and whatnot. And again, same thing. It's a family. It's a house. There's a
So
ghost doing stuff with no rules, with weird scenes and characters doing things that make no sense.
there's some more like cultural insensitivity. Like this time it's kind of
Yeah,
like Native American
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. At least in this one, though, there's no actual Native Americans that they talk to. I don't think. I don't
True.
remember there
Yeah.
being something like that. Although it does have the whole, oh, my mother's Hispanic. She knows
Oh
creepy
yeah.
stuff. She'll come out of the house and sense things. Again, kind of insensitive
Sure.
and stereotypical. Why is this the worst though compared to the others? What puts this above the rest when it's got so many of the same problems? The actual thing, everything we've said about the other ones applies here. Characters make no sense, poor ghosts with no rules, storytelling. The ending's just a Deus Ex Machina, everything's solved and fixed at the end really quickly. We have subplots of, the husband might want to cheat on his wife, but he doesn't, and it doesn't go anywhere and things like that. That puts it on level with a lot of the other ones. Why is this one worse? This one's actually worse because there's just basic filmmaking like issues this one has. When we
Hmm.
reviewed this back in like May, June, whenever it was, we spent 5 minutes talking about how bad the editing was.
Yeah.
Which is one thing for me. It's another thing for you, who like you
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah, like
notice that normally. Like you wouldn't care.
you're more knowledgeable and probably more cognizant of that kind of stuff. Where I don't have any formal training. I watch a lot of movies, but that's about it. So I'm usually more forgiving on those like technical aspects. But yeah, even this I was like, ooh, this is like choppy and weird. Like,
Yeah, like it was cutting from like between shots, so it just didn't work. There was basic editing that wasn't working. The way the movie kind of starts as well, without any kind of introduction to the characters, we just kind of, and it doesn't feel like an intentional, oh, we're thrown into the middle of this. When I say introduce characters, I don't necessarily mean you have to introduce them in a sense where, oh, this is who this person is, and this is what they do, this is their job, this is their role in the family, whatever. I mean, even if you're going to throw them in the middle of a scene, you introduce them through the filmmaking, you build up to who they are in a gradual way. This doesn't do that, this just kind of throws you in, as if they like cut like the first scene and it's not there anymore. So much of it feels cobbled together. So on top of everything else, where it has all those other faults, it just feels like this weird mess. They tried to fix it in the editing room, and it just didn't work, and it feels
mhm.
off. There's simple scenes where it's just characters talking around the kitchen at breakfast, where the editing is wrong. If you can't get this simple scene of people talking to each other right, what hope have you got of doing like scary scenes, tension and drama and frights later on? Like none of it works because even the talking to each other scenes don't work.
Just like on every level, it's bad. And
Because I
like,
was dead set on the other side of the door being the worst horror movie of the year, and this was only halfway through the year. I was dead set on it, and then we watched this, and I was like, this was worse. This was somehow
and
worse. Yeah, there's entire subplots with all the characters. They all have their own little issues. Wife's an alcoholic. Dad might want an affair, and daughter I think has like an eating problem where she's like throwing up her dinner, and that's kind of dropped just randomly after a couple of scenes. None of them really go anywhere. It's really, really shoddy. The entire thing is shoddy from start to finish on every single level. Acting's not very good. And not that Kevin Bacon's a bad actor, but like whatever possible
yeah,
acting he could have done was ruined by the directing, by the editing, by the story, by the script, whatever.
has those like huge offenses where it's just like it's boring, it's dull. I don't care about what's going on, and it's why why.
This was 90 minutes that felt like 5 hours. Well, that's our top 10 worst movies, or worst horror movies of 2016. You may agree, you may disagree, you may think there's some other stuff that should have been on there. Of course, there's other things that were sort of middling for us. There was a lot of things that just didn't make the cut, but this is what we rounded down to, our 10 worst movies of the year. So, of course, you can get reviews of all of these movies that we did throughout the year on the channel. Just go to the playlist and you can find them. Some of them will be linked in the corner. Check out the other best of stuff that we've done, from Almost Cancelled to 10 TV shows of the year. 1.21 did the best movies in general of the year. But other than that, guys, let us know what your worst horror movies of the year were in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot if you do. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed sticking with us throughout 2016. Here's to a good 2017. So we'll see you next time.